What's going on, everybody? Michael Silva here. In today's video, we're going to be doing some technical analysis on Boeing. If you've been thinking about investing in it, trading it, we're going to hit some very key levels and also look at some very interesting charts as to why this might not be the best time right now to just hop right into it. With all that said, let's get into this analysis. All right, welcome back. Now, this is not a chart of Boeing, but it's a chart of the Dow Jones Transportation Index. Now, this is important because the Dow Jones Transports is a very key chart to look at when it comes to things like Dow theory. If we start seeing a chart like this collapse, well, it's very possible to see something very similar happen to Boeing. So what am I pointing out right here? First off, look at this candlestick formation of currently where we're at on the transports. First off, this candle right here is a monthly candle, and the month has not closed, so a lot can change still. But what I want to point out is that's a shooting star type candle. We have a long upper wick. We're extended from the upper Bollinger Band, and now we're seeing some weakness. The only data point that we have for this specific month from a low standpoint is at the very low of this current month, which is at 12,330. When it comes to next month, if we get continuation pushed to the downside, we'd be looking at this level around 11,500 for support. Clearly, it acted as resistance here and here. So why am I telling you this? Well, first off, if Boeing starts to break down, or if this starts to break down, Boeing might find support when the transports find support around 11,500. Okay, so make sure you're keeping an eye on both of these charts. Now, remember this candle as we get into the Boeing analysis too, because you'll see how transports have been ramping up like this, but you'll see that Boeing hasn't quite made up for this big move here in the current transports. Another note to make, I'm showing you the crude oil, light crude oil, WTIC. Why is this important? Well, when oil goes up, that means expenses go up for airlines, right? They use oil. So what are we seeing? Well, we saw this huge hammer candle. Now we're seeing it move up. Oil just broke through this monthly resistance area right here at about 40 and some change. And now we're having a very strong breakout month so far. So if this continues to go up, we'll probably have resistance more up in this 75 range. Now it's not going to go straight up there, but if it does continue this move up, we might find resistance at 50 or 55. I've mapped out those levels in daily briefs, but then the bigger resistance is up here. Why? Well, it acted as resistance here, support, support, and then when we flushed down, you saw a massive flush. So if oil continues to rise, that puts pressure on transports because it's one of their big expenses. Now let's get into Boeing. Boeing on the monthly time frame. Remember the candle that I told you to remember? Well, the transports have already made an all-time high, and now we're starting to see a very similar type candle. So if the transports start heading down, watch for Boeing to follow suit. Now this is a monthly time frame. You can see that as an inverted shooting star type candle, which is not a good sign. Okay, this could very well be a dead cat bounce, Boeing, and if it breaks below this previous low, it can head lower. It's always a possibility. But what should you look out for? Well, on the monthly time frame, a reconnect of the 5 EMA. So if we do break down the low of this current monthly candle, which is at 210.30, we can probably tag the 5 EMA at 192.85 and probably find some support. Clearly, we have some data points here from these wicks, from these candles, right around that same range. So that's very possible where we can be at right now. Where are we at? We're at 219.75, and a very strong pullback to 180 would be not shocking to me at all looking at this chart. Let's look at the weekly time frame. Okay, this is important. What do we see here happening? Well, we see lower highs, trending lower, okay? We're taking stair steps down. That's not a good sign, and we haven't changed that quite yet. So in order to really see strength coming back in, we need to start making higher highs. I mean, that's how the trends change. Now, what I do notice is higher lows taking place. So you kind of see this ascending triangle, which could be a potential basing pattern. So we got to take note of that. However, we ran into resistance up here right around the high point that we already previously mentioned. There's support right here a little bit. Then we flushed hard, came back up, got rejected, and now we're coming back up here again. So maybe we might coil around in this range before a potential breakout. But remember, if we come down to the lower portion here, this is a trend line. The trend line might get tagged. Where's that at? Well, it's right around that 180 marker, which we just mentioned. So keep that in mind. Next chart, we're going to be looking at the daily time frame. Now, look at how it was at 244, and then for the last week or so of trading, it's now significantly lower. You can call that potentially a falling wedge. But I want to point out a couple key levels. One, we just flushed under the 20-period moving average. 20-period moving average is an intermediate trend, so that's not a good sign. And you can see that if you just drew a line from right here to here, that's a potential flush point. So this selling might continue. Now, the 200 period sloping down to almost sideways, so that's bearish context. Okay, very bearish context. And then we have the 50 period sloping up. So that's good, right around the 50% retracement level. Now, this is very hard to trade, this specific stock, about going in right now or not going in. And we'll talk more about my kind of thoughts at the end. But as I see it right now, this whole big zone right here could be a potential, buy the dip moment. But there's still a lot of things that need to take place from the bigger perspective charts. So overall right now, it's not looking too hot. Now, in November, we've been ripping higher. Now we're seeing a little bit of a pullback. So since November, it's, bullish context. But the big context on the 200 period is still sloping down. And then we have this big gap right here. So if we come down to these levels right here around the 200, I would expect to see some strength right around in there to the 61.8% retracement level. And guess what? The 61% retracement level is at 180. And what have we said on the other charts? We'll probably find support around there, that level, 180. Now, this is one of the more widely watched retracement levels. Same with the 38. So it's not going to probably be a big shot to the downside, but we might see bounces. And if we continue putting in lower highs, then, the trend could continue downwards. So I'd be looking at this level right there. Here is the 2-hour time frame. This is zoomed in. We like to zoom in a little bit more on the charts to just hone in on specific entry and exit points. Now, I put the pink lines there. Why? Well, we're taking stair steps down. This is a bear channel. Now we're coming to the bottom portion of this channel, so we might find a little bit of a bounce here. Keep in mind the context of this chart. The PPO, the price percent oscillator, is trending down below zero, so it's in bearish context. That makes sense. Look at the price action. RSI is not oversold, so that means, well, we can still continue down. Now, the 20 period is here, and the 50 period is sloping up. 20 down, that's intermediate term. 50 is sloping up. When the price action is down here, that means the 50 will start curling over slowly but surely. If that's the case, and the price action continues to move up, there's going to be resistance on the 50 period and the 20 period. So yeah, we might start seeing some moves up, capture some more people in, but keep in mind, if we're not breaking above the previous high, then the trend is still down. All right. So to wrap this kind of all together, transports, I'm not going to be touching transports any near time future until probably we see what happens next month. And really the reason for that is that big shooting star type candle. If we get confirmation to the downside, transports could continue to head lower. And if we see this rocket ship move in oil continue, well, that can put even more pressure on stocks like this. So be very careful playing this stuff. It's a very fast moving stock. That's all I got for you on the Boeing analysis. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.